Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, the past several days, I've been receiving questions because there are people out there that understand and know that I have an awareness and understanding of politics. And they are asking me what I personally think and believe about the death of the Iranian president, especially when I was talking about the whole politics about how Israel supports Azerbaijan, and literally the next day after I published it, he gets into a helicopter crash. Look at the sun. There's a helicopter passing out the window. Oh my goodness. Okay, so on May the 7th, there was an assassination attempt of the Saudi Prince King Salman. Okay? I meant to say listen, and I was saying look for the helicopter. So after that, there were several attempts of other nations and their leaders to have them assassinated too. Pay attention to politics, everyone. Okay? Because they are using religion in the name of this. There are activations and eclipse activations that took place on the 20th of May of April that they go by astronomically. And when I say they, you know what I'm talking about. There was a fog, and that fog is connected to confusion of Neptune. Okay, that fog was not nature, that was human man-made machines they create. Azerbaijan and Israel have very high technology. So what this is all politics all over again, political games to confuse the masses. May the 19th, King Salman of Saudi Arabia, he fell sick. And when there is an eclipse, what they do is they plan to remove. Eclipsed out basically means is a death ritual. They plan a death ritual of a political leader or a king, okay, so that they can move forward in their Kabbalistic plans. Allah knows best. Allah's governing everything at the end of it all. There is a time frame for how long this will last, and there is an intervention, and eventually the balance of justice and the scales, all the weather satellite photos and videos and anything that was proof leading up to the helicopter crash was literally removed. Okay? The meeting that the leaders had with the government of Azerbaijan, nobody really truly knows what could have been discussed between the two of them after there was the recordings and everything, right? But it does look like, and it does feel like it was pre-planned. Don't trust media. Whatever is usually put on media, it's the opposite. That looks very planned. It's just another political game. Yeah. Whether the death of the president of Iran was on the 19th or the 20th, it shouldn't matter. I can't remember exactly when it was again right now. But May the 15th, there was another assassination attempt for the Slavic prime minister, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, connect the dots. It's not very difficult to really truly connect all the dots. At the end of the day, there shouldn't have to be a judgment towards a group, a nation, or its people. That's what I want to say, because it's not the people who are in control of this big political joke. It's the governments who are playing the people. And I have nothing against governments per se, because I am a lawful, legal citizen in a sense of I pay all my taxes, I don't commit crime, I don't go against the government because it's not wise, it's not smart. Doesn't matter which country I travel or I live in, I don't do these things. But however, there are certain truths, and it's good to be consciously aware so that emotional detachments can take place, and whatever you believe in, you continue to believe in without hatred in your heart against a nation or against a group of people, just because there are political games that are being played. Do you understand what I'm saying? If we look at it in a detached manner, we can somewhat kind of understand, though, why the government has to kind of have control over humans, because humans can be very unlawful, kind of almost even animalistic in certain ways. Not that I'm saying that governments are always lawful. Not that I'm saying that the governments are always lawful, but there are some games that are being played. And I encourage everyone to just kind of go back to their faith, and live according to their faith in a peaceful way that is fulfilling for their spirit, for their heart, and share and speak the truth so that other people can become more conscious of it as well. It's not so much about fighting each other or fighting the governments at this point. It's more about resurrecting. It's just more about, at the end of it all, Allah's in control of our destinies, including the destiny of nations. And for what reasonings, you may ask yourself, why they're eclipsing kings of certain nations, and why Azerbaijan, why now, why Iran, why this, why that. The main reason is because Israel is expanding as a nation. And they have always, from the region of the Asiatic areas, has always been a pinpoint area. They've always used the Turks. They've always used the Kurds. The Kurds are only as old as the Ottoman Empire. When ISIS was finished, the Kurds were somewhat saviors. And Jerusalem was passed to Israel. And during the Ottoman Empire and before that, they used them it started in Khazaria and it's ending with Israel in its expansion. The need to take over all of Palestine, all of Jordan, all of Syria, all of Lebanon, the region of the Levant, eventually Iraq, eventually Turkey. All the key players were always intended to be removed. And the Ottomans were known to be, maybe in some ignorant Muslim scholars, view the Ottomans to be fulfilling the doctrine of the Islamic laws, because the Ottomans maybe bypassed what the Arabs were able to conquer. But what they don't understand is it was not an Islamic per se that they conquered the Ottomans. It was more of a Jewish prophecy. It was more of a Jewish intention, political game. Jews come from Turkic nations, Arab nations, Iran, and also the Ottomans conquered Palestine. Was it for what reason they conquered Palestine? Before the Ottomans took over Armenia, could have been even during, there were many Armenians who, and in good standing, in high standing, who converted to Islam. We didn't have the issues with the Arabs before the Ottomans and the Turks came in the picture. Maybe there was one fight with the Arabs. After that, there was a peace treaty after that, and many Armenians were voluntarily on their own converting to Islam. There were no issues. There was no ethnic cleansing. When the Ottomans started regularly causing genocide with the Kurds against the Armenians wanted peace. They wanted peace, but the Ottomans kept fighting. They were doing genocide. This is against Islam, but this is not against Judaism. This is not against Judaism. There was an intention to wipe off a certain bloodline, such as the Armenians. They wanted to wipe off a certain bloodline, the same way the Jews have an intention to wipe out the Arabs. When you use religion as a means for political games, this is what happens. You have to understand something about my own people. Armenians, they are jealous, competitive towards each other, but when it comes to other nationalities, other ethnicities, they seek peace and they want to join. And Armenians have lived till now in Arab nations very peacefully, very successfully. For over 2,000 years, there has been an Armenian quarter in Jerusalem where the church, the keys of the church, the Armenian church, is kept in the pocket of a Palestinian Muslim. That's how much in peace we have been with Arabs. There are documents found in the history of Yemen. The Yemenis, they have a historical document that it's written that one of the nations in the region were the Armenians. The Armenian language is documented. The map of Armenia is documented. Yemenis are known to be the original Arabs, right? They have it documented. Where were the Ottomans then? Where were the Jews then? Where was Azerbaijan then? Non-existent. Non-existent. And so going to Jerusalem, where admittedly publicly the Jews spit on Armenians, they tell them to get out. They're not hiding it anymore, guys. Before they were under the disguise of the Ottomans. They're not hiding it anymore. They don't need to hide it anymore. At that headquarters in Jerusalem, it's on the wall that there is a document. There is a document written by the Prophet Muhammad for the protection of the Armenians, particularly in Arab nations, living there, traveling there, that if anything is to be taken from them, stolen from them, if they're mistreated, there will be curses. By Allah. You can go there directly and see it. You can research it yourself. Therefore, the Jews, for thousands and thousands of years, because they were not powerful at the time, they needed to create new nations. They needed to mix and mingle with other ethnicities, new ethnicities, to destroy the pact, to destroy the brotherhood that the Armenians had with Arabs. Armenians were originally the people of Shem. They originate from Shem. With that being said, Shem, the son of Noah, one of the sons of Noah, the regions of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, some parts of Anatolia is the bloodline, and even Greece or Cyprus is the bloodline of Shem. This is the region where Armenians originated. We are not a European people. We were never a European people. Just because the language has become an Indo-European language, it does not mean that we are Europeans. Pakistanis also are an Indo-European language, but they are not European. So what happened is they changed our bloodline. They changed us from being the people of Shem to the people of Japhet. which is the region of Europe, for the sole intention to wipe us off a certain path, bloodline, brotherhood. This is not about Islam. This is more about political nations and bloodlines and who's going to win these nations. Yes, they use religion as a game, because when religion affects us emotionally, it affects our entire life. It creates and destroys brotherhoods. What better way to disguise heroism? The Ottomans became heroes for Muslims to wipe the Armenians clean. But before that, Armenians were converting to Islam. They had a brotherhood with the Arabs. So really, doesn't Allah look at justice? Armenians originate from northern Iraq. They migrated to the region of Van, Anatolia, Turkey today. That is where the original establishment of Armenia was. That was the original Armenian land. It is documented by the Arabs. It is documented by the Europeans. It is documented by Asians. It is documented by everyone, by Iran, by the Romans. The first establishment of Armenia was in Van. And what greater way to destroy a certain bloodline and brotherhood is to use religion like Islam to destroy the future generations, so that the future generations won't become Europeans. How is the region of Iraq and the region of Van the people of Japhet when it's the people of Shem? So of course, since then, many nations, many ethnicities have intermingled and mixed. Okay? There's Europeans and Africans. There are white people mixed with Asians, but like I said, this was all intentional, and it's leading back to the death of the prime minister and the president of Iran, and making it look like Azerbaijan are the survivors, the saviors, and that Israel is not behind it. Again, Iran defends Armenia. Iran is trying to play a balance between Azerbaijan and be a peace treaty, really. But ultimately, Iran chooses to support Armenia. What better way to clean him out as well? It is written in the Hebrew text documents. It is written in Old Hebrew. In Old Hebrew, each letter of the Hebrew alphabet was corresponding to a nation at that time. A thriving nation, a successful nation, an intelligent nation. Now, modern Jews, they send their children to private schools to learn the Old Hebrew alphabet, to study the Old Hebrew alphabet. These are the Jews who have the money. And I've had over 5 Jewish people, when they found out I'm Armenian, tell me, and they do not know each other, that it is written in the original Hebrew alphabet that in the old days, in Old Hebrew, the most intelligent nation were the Armenians. So for Armenians to freely convert to Islam went against their doctrine and their way of succeeding by becoming the somewhat chosen people of Allah, and to conquer what they are trying to conquer now, starting off with Palestine. The Armenians had conquered the regions from Syria, from, all the way up to Asia at one point. And that is the plan, that is what the Ottomans did, and that is the plan of what Israel is, that is their intention. And so to wipe off a certain bloodline is key. To become aware of this is key. whether as human beings we can physically do anything about it or not, knowledge is key.